I was repairing my car when my son-in-law hit me on the head with a wrench. "You can't even do this, you loser," he shouted. My daughter, who was standing nearby, pretended she hadn't seen anything. 5 minutes later, a loud bang in the garage echoed throughout the house. My daughter came running and froze when she saw what I had done. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The voices cut through the February air while my hands were still knuckle-deep in the engine block. Fletcher's voice came first, sharp, demanding. Then Viola's response, defensive and worn down like old leather. The argument carried clear across the driveway from the main house. I froze, wrench in hand. Third fight this week. The words themselves got lost in the distance, but the tone told me everything. My back protested when I straightened up. 68 years of gravity, reminding me. I wiped my hands on the shop rag, leaving dark streaks. 30 years as a forensic medical examiner taught me to read crime scenes. Now, I'm living in one. My eyes found the house, my house, the Craftsman beauty I bought 40 years ago on NE 18th Avenue. Fletcher and Viola had been living there temporarily for 2 years now. The argument escalated. Something crashed. Then a door slammed hard enough to rattle windows. Silence settled over everything, thick and uncomfortable like morning fog on the Willamette. I looked back at Viola's Honda CR-V sitting in my garage. She'd asked me to fix it 6 months ago. I'd said yes, then conveniently forgot. Or maybe I'd avoided it, easier not to engage with the growing distance between us. Tonight felt different. My hand reached for the toolbox. Maybe a good deed would break the tension. 3 fights in 7 days. I'd documented murder scenes with better family dynamics. The memory hit me while I gathered tools. 3 months back, Sunday morning, Allegra's face on my laptop screen. My younger daughter, calling from Amsterdam, where she worked as an art curator. Her expression had been tight with worry. "Teddy, something's wrong with them." I'd dismissed it. "They're stressed. Fletcher's between projects again." "It's more than that." She'd leaned closer to her camera. "The way Viola talks about money now, about the house, your house, and Fletcher never gets on camera anymore when I call. You're in Amsterdam too long, Allie, getting paranoid." Her face hadn't changed. "I hope you're right." I'd ended the call feeling annoyed at her concern. Now, listening to the silence from the house, I wasn't so sure. Last week came back too. Tuesday morning, I'd been returning from Cafe Umbria with my usual cortado when I spotted Fletcher on the sidewalk. He was talking to a woman in business attire, pointing at my house. When he noticed me approaching, the conversation ended fast. The woman handed him something, a business card, I think, and walked away like she had somewhere urgent to be. "Morning, Fletch. Who's your friend?" "Oh, just neighborhood stuff." He'd pocketed the card. "Homeowner association thing." The woman was already half a block away. I'd caught the company logo on her portfolio case. Realtor. I pulled the garage door open fully. The overhead lights flickered on, casting harsh shadows. The Honda sat there looking neglected and sad. I popped the hood, propped it open. Tools laid themselves out on my workbench with practiced ease. Socket set, wrenches, my old headlamp from the morgue days. Habits die hard. My iPhone went onto the workbench. Another habit from the medical examiner's office. Document everything. I took a photo of the engine compartment in its current state. The timing belt was visible if you knew where to look. Already I could see the problem. 6 months, Viola waited. My voice echoed in the empty garage. "What kind of father?" I stopped myself, shook my head. "Okay, old man. Time to fix more than just the car." The work felt good, methodical. I checked fluid levels, photographed anything questionable. My hands knew what to do, even if my mind wandered. Viola used to help me here when she was 16, 17. Summer evenings, her in overalls 3 sizes too big, handing me tools and asking questions about everything. Those were good times, before Fletcher, before the distance grew into a canyon. I positioned my rolling creeper and prepared to slide under the vehicle. The timing belt definitely needed replacing, probably the water pump too. 6 months of sitting hadn't helped any of the SILs. Document everything. That's what they taught us at the medical examiner's office. I held up my phone, took another photo of the engine bay from a different angle. 30 years photographing corpses. Now I'm photographing a 2008 Honda CR-V with a bad timing belt. This is retirement. But something nagged at me. Allegra's warning, the realtor, the escalating fights. Fletcher's face when I'd caught him on the sidewalk, guilty as hell. My phone buzzed. Text from Allegra. Call me when you can, please. I typed back. Working on Vi's car. Tomorrow? Her reply came fast. Be careful. Be careful fixing a car? I set the phone down, turned back to the Honda. The engine compartment stared back at me like an open chest cavity. All the pieces visible if you knew how to look. Timing belts definitely shot, I said to nobody. Water pumps leaking. 6 months killed half the SEALs. I slid the creeper under the Honda and positioned myself. The concrete was cold through my work shirt. My headlamp illuminated the undercarriage in harsh white light. Everything looked worse up close. The timing belt had stress fractures visible even in the shadows. I reached for my phone again, snapped a photo. Evidence. Documentation. I was a forensic medical examiner for 30 years. My voice sounded strange in the enclosed space under the car. They spent 3 decades documenting how people died. The wrench felt heavy in my hand. I set down the phone and stared at the failing timing belt, at the oil-stained engine block, at the careful documentation I'd been making. Should have known that good deeds in forensic work usually end up on the autopsy table. Enough philosophy, time to work. I slid the creeper under the Honda fully, my headlamp cutting through the darkness of the undercarriage. The concrete pressed cold through my shirt. Portland in February, damp and unforgiving. My phone came out again. Photo of the timing belt area from below. Another habit I can't break, even for a simple car repair. The belt was worse than I'd thought. Stress fractures ran along the entire length. One of the teeth had chipped. If this thing had let go while Viola was driving, she'd have been stranded, or worse. Water pumps leaking too, I muttered. My voice echoed strange in the enclosed space. 6 months of sitting killed everything. My mind wandered while my hands worked. Viola used to hand me tools right here. Summer evening, her maybe 17, wearing my old shop overalls rolled up at the ankles. She'd wanted to learn everything, how engines worked, how to read compression tests, where every bolt belonged. Why's this one bigger than that one, Dad? Different torque requirements. This one holds more weight. She'd absorbed it all, asked smart questions. We'd rebuilt her first car together, a '94 Civic she'd bought with money from her coffee shop job. That was before Fletcher, before she stopped looking me in the eye. The memory hurt more than my aching back. Movement caught my peripheral vision. Legs appeared in the garage doorway. I slid out from under the car, sat up. Fletcher stood there, backlit from the house lights behind him, arms crossed, the stance of someone claiming territory. Working late, Teddy? The edge in his voice was sharp enough to cut, not a friendly inquiry, challenge. I grabbed the shop rag, wiped my hands. Figured I'd finally fix your wife's car. Been putting it off. Yeah? He took a step into the garage. Think you can handle it? Handled 30 years of dead bodies. I pushed myself to standing, joints protesting. Pretty sure I can handle a Honda. Fletcher didn't smile, didn't even pretend to. Dead bodies don't need you anymore. Question is, does anyone? The silence stretched. I could hear the house settling, the hum of my shop lights. Then Viola appeared behind him, framed in the doorway. Dark circles under her eyes, shoulders slumped like she carried concrete blocks. She didn't look at me. Didn't look at anything, really. Hey, Vi. I kept my voice light. Car should be running by tomorrow. Thanks. Barely above a whisper, Fletcher cut in. If he doesn't break something else first. My jaw tightened. I rebuilt engines while you were in elementary school, Fletcher. Yeah, and now you're 68. He moved closer. Things change. People get old. They can't do what they used to. I needed the 13mm wrench, third drawer of my toolbox, right where it had always been. Old habit made me turn to Viola. Vi, can you hand me the 13mm third drawer? She hesitated. Her eyes flicked to Fletcher. Then she moved to the toolbox, opened the drawer, found the wrench. She handed it over like it might burn her, pulled her hand back fast. Just like old times, huh? I tried to smile. She said nothing. The wrench felt heavy in my palm. Fletcher's voice dripped contempt. Sure, make her wait on you. That's all she's good for, right? Taking care of the old man? I asked for a wrench, not a sermon. Yeah, well... He stepped closer. Too close. His body language had shifted, focused, deliberate. You know what your problem is, Teddy? You don't know when to step aside, when to let go. Something in his tone raised every alarm I'd learned to trust in 30 years of forensic work. This wasn't just aggression, this was purpose. I straightened fully, met his eyes. Let go of what exactly? Everything. His voice went cold. This house, this life, your daughter. My house. The words came out harder than I'd intended. My daughter. And I'm not going. The world tilted. Pain exploded across my skull. Sharp, disorienting, wrong. My hand went to my head automatically. It came away wet, red. Blood ran between my fingers. The wrench. Fletcher had grabbed another wrench from my workbench. He'd hit me with my own tool. You can't even do this right, you failure. His voice sounded distorted, like I was underwater. The garage spun, my knees buckled, the concrete rushed up to meet me. I caught myself with one hand, my palm scraping against the gritty floor. Fletcher stood over me, the wrench still in his hand. His face twisted with something beyond anger, contempt, maybe, or hatred. He was shouting something else. Words about failure and wasting time and playing mechanic like some senile old man. My head throbbed. Blood dripped from my temple onto the concrete. Each drop made a small, dark circle on the gray surface. Photo number 13, my mind thought absurdly. If I documented this like a crime scene, I'd have the most disturbing evidence archive in Portland. But then my vision cleared enough to see past Fletcher, to Viola. She stood in the doorway, fully illuminated by the garage light now. She was watching, seeing everything. Our eyes met. Her face showed nothing. No shock, no horror, no intervention. Just exhaustion. And something that looked like resignation. Fletcher kept shouting, the wrench still raised. But I couldn't stop looking at my daughter, at the girl who used to hand me tools in this same garage, who'd ask questions about torque requirements and compression ratios, who'd trusted me to teach her how things worked. She turned around. My daughter saw her husband hit me with a wrench, saw the blood running down my face, saw me on my knees on the garage floor, and she turned around and walked back into the house. She didn't look back, not once. I stayed on my knees, concrete gritty and cold beneath me. Blood dripped between my fingers, pattering onto the garage floor. Dark spots on gray concrete. Fletcher was still talking, shouting, really, but the words came filtered through the ringing in my ears. You can't even do this right, you failure. My hand pressed harder against the laceration. The professional part of my brain switched on. Scalp wound, right parietal region. Approximately 2 centimeters. Significant bleeding, but superficial. Scalp wounds always bleed heavily, more alarming than dangerous. No signs of skull fracture. No loss of consciousness. Pupils equal and reactive. Time, approximately 7:30 p.m. Attacker position, 4 feet away, right-handed. Weapon still visible on workbench. 30 years of documenting crime scenes. The habit doesn't die just because you're the victim this time. We're wasting time while you play mechanic. Fletcher paced like a caged animal. His shadow stretched long across the garage floor. 30 years in a morgue, and you think you can fix cars? I didn't respond, just watched him. Documented every movement, every word. Evidence collection had become instinct. You made your money off dead people. He stopped directly in front of me, arms crossed, looking down. Now you're just as useless as they were. Still nothing from me. Silence unnerves people more than arguments. I learned that in 30 years of interrogation rooms, watching detectives work. The guilty ones always fill the silence. They can't help themselves. Fletcher threw the wrench onto my workbench with a clatter. The sound echoed through the garage, sharp and metallic. You know what your problem is, Teddy? You don't know when you're done. You worked, you retired, time to fade away. I slowly sat back on my heels. Blood ran warm down my face, dripped onto my work shirt. The garage lights made everything too bright, too sharp. This is my house. For now. He smiled, cold, confident. But not for long. Pack your bags, old man. This house will be ours. My vision cleared, the ringing faded. I looked up at him, really looked, studied his face the way I used to study autopsy reports, reading the details. Viola agreed to this. Viola wants a future. He moved closer, looming. Not a past that smells like formaldehyde and regret. Not a father who spends his retirement playing mechanic in a garage. She saw what you did. Yeah, she saw. His smile widened, triumphant. And she walked away? That tell you anything about whose side she's on? It told me everything. The daughter who used to hand me tools in this garage had chosen. She'd made her choice when she turned her back. Fletcher headed toward the door, paused with his hand on the frame. Maybe you should sell. Take the money. Get a nice little apartment somewhere. Senior living, maybe. Activities. Friends your own age. I said nothing. Let him talk. Let him reveal himself. Or we can make this harder. He looked back over his shoulder. His expression said he hoped I'd make it harder. Your choice, Teddy. There's always a choice. Fletcher laughed. Actually laughed. Not anymore, old man. Not anymore. He left. The door to the house slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. Then silence. Complete silence except for my own breathing. I was alone in my garage, my sanctuary, my refuge for 40 years. Now it was a crime scene. My hands were steadier than they should be. 30 years of working with corpses teaches you calm. The dead don't care if your hands shake, but evidence does. Documentation requires precision. I reached for my iPhone on the workbench. The screen was smudged with oil from earlier, but it worked fine. Opened the camera app, held it up at arm's length, took a selfie showing the injury, blood streaking down my face, the timestamp visible in the corner. The image was stark, brutal, perfect. Took a second photo of the blood pooled on the concrete. The pattern told a story. Impact spatter, drip pattern, volume. Any forensic tech would recognize assault immediately. A third photo of the wrench Fletcher had dropped on the workbench, the one that hit me. His fingerprints would be all over it. Maybe blood trace too, if I was lucky. 2-centimeter laceration. No fracture. Lucky me, Fletcher hits like someone who's never actually been in a fight. 30 years in the morgue, I've seen worse injuries from falling in the shower. But it didn't need to be worse. It just needed to be documented. Photo 1, I said aloud to the empty garage. Old habit from the medical examiner's office. Verbal recording for the report. Scalp laceration, right parietal region, approximately 2 centimeters in length. Time, 7:34 p.m., February 24th. Another photo, different angle, showing the blood on my shirt collar. Photo 2, blood pattern on concrete, impact spatter consistent with blunt force trauma from above. One more, the wrench. Photo 3, weapon. Standard crescent wrench, approximately 12 inches, located on workbench where assailant left it. I looked at the camera. My face stared back from the screen. Blood-streaked, cold, focused. Not the face of a victim. The face of someone building a case. 30 years I documented violence. My voice dropped, hardened. Murders, assaults, domestic abuse cases that went to trial. First time I'm documenting my own. The phone felt heavy in my hand. I scrolled through contacts, found the name I needed. Finn Garrett, PPB, Portland Police Bureau. My old contact from crime scene logistics. The officer who'd coordinated with me on dozens of homicide cases. Good man, thorough, would take this seriously. My thumb hovered over the call button. One tap. That's all it would take. Finn would send officers. They'd photograph everything, take statements, arrest Fletcher. Assault on an elderly person carries serious charges in Oregon. Fletcher would spend the night in jail at minimum, then stopped. Calling the police is easy. It's also obvious. And I didn't spend 30 years watching criminals get caught to make their mistakes. The smart ones never act impulsively. They plan, they prepare, they document everything first. Build an airtight case before making a move. The stupid ones call 911 while they're still bleeding. They get emotional. They make threats. They tip their hand before they're ready. I wasn't going to be stupid. I closed the phone, looked around my garage, my sanctuary. Now, a crime scene. But crime scenes tell stories, and I knew how to read them better than almost anyone in Portland. First, I document everything. I set the phone down carefully on the workbench, next to my father's old toolbox. Then I make them document their own destruction. 10 minutes to stop the bleeding. Butterfly bandages across the laceration. Pressure bandage over that. Antiseptic stings less than the betrayal. I sat on the workshop stool, hand against the dressing, breathing steady. The garage was quiet except for sounds from the main house. The kitchen light was on. I could see movement through the window. Then I heard voices. The window above the kitchen sink was open. Portland in late February, unusually warm tonight. Their voices carried clearly across the 40 feet of yard between house and garage. Fletcher's voice cut through. Already set up the meeting, Thursday with the realtor. I sat very still. Viola, crying. Fletch, I don't know. Know what? Fletcher's tone sharpened. Your dad's place is worth $850K, maybe more if we stage it right. It's his home. He's 68 and alone. How much longer can he manage this place? Silence. Just Viola's quiet crying. Fletcher again, softer now. Nursing home would be better for him anyway. Care, community, activities. He won't want that. He doesn't know what he wants. That's the point. Pause. Vi, we're drowning. This is our way out. More crying. Then Fletcher's voice, colder. If he won't sell willingly, there are other options. What options? Lawyers, competency evaluations. He's not getting younger. We can make the case that he needs help managing his affairs. You mean? I mean we do what we need to do, for us, for our future. The conversation faded. A door closed somewhere in the house. I sat in my garage, hand pressed to my bandaged head. 850Ks, Thursday, realtor, nursing home, competency evaluations. The memory hit without warning. 40 years back. Spring 1985. Carrying Viola through the front door of this house for the first time. She was maybe 6 weeks old, wrapped in a yellow blanket. My wife behind me, laughing because I was so nervous I almost tripped on the threshold. Later, memory, Viola at 16, sitting in the living room after a fight with her mother. Me next to her. This will always be your home, sweetheart. Always. She'd looked at me with those serious eyes. Promise? Promise. I opened my eyes, back in the present, in the garage, blood on the floor. 40 years I've owned this house. My voice sounded strange. Told her it would always be her home. Meant it? I stood up, carefully. The world tilted slightly but steadied. I looked at the Honda, at the unfinished repair, at my tools laid out on the workbench. What am I doing? This is stupid. I should be inside calling people, making plans, not playing defiant mechanic. But my hands reach for the wrench anyway. I move back under the car. This is my garage, my tools, my choice. Maybe 5 minutes of work when I heard the footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Still here? Fletcher's voice from the doorway. I said we're done. I slid out from under the Honda, stood up. This time I was ready. The wrench stayed in my hand. No, I'm not done. This isn't your call anymore. This is my house. I didn't back away. My garage, my car to repair. Fletcher moved forward, aggressive, threatening. I held the wrench loosely, not threatening, defensive. Go ahead, hit me again. He stopped. Something in my voice made him pause. Give me another reason to document assault on an elderly man. I smiled, cold. See how that plays in court. You threatening me? No, inviting you. The smile didn't reach my eyes. You know what the problem with assault and battery is, Fletcher? It's really hard to spin as self-defense when the victim is 30 years older and bleeding from the last time you hit him. Juries hate that. We stared at each other. Long moment. Something shifted in his expression. Not fear exactly, but calculation. He was reassessing who he was dealing with. Without another word, Fletcher turned, walked back to the house. The door slammed. I stood there, wrench in hand, until I heard the lock click. Only then did I lower the wrench. My hand was shaking now, adrenaline wearing off. I sat back down on the stool, looked at the blood stain on the concrete floor. Mine. Evidence I'd collected. What if I'm making this worse? What if I should just let them have it? Take the $850K, find an apartment, fade away. The thought lasted maybe 5 seconds. No. I looked at the blood again. I documented that blood. Mine. I'm not walking away from evidence I collected. I reached for my phone. This time I didn't hesitate. Found a different contact. Allegra, Amsterdam. Checked the time. 8:20 p.m. here. 9 hours ahead there. 4:20 a.m. She'd be asleep. I called anyway. The phone rang, once, twice, 3 times, then, "Teddy?" Allegra's voice alarmed, instantly awake. "What happened?" I looked at the blood on the garage floor, at the bandage on my head, at the house where my daughter lived with a man who'd assaulted me 30 minutes ago. "Allie, I need you to listen very carefully. Don't interrupt. Just listen." My voice was steady, cold. "Your sister and her husband are trying to take my house. Tonight Fletcher hit me with a wrench. Viola watched and walked away, and I need you to help me destroy them." Silence on the line. 3 seconds. 4. Then Allegra's voice, sharp and immediate. "Tell me everything." I did, concisely, clinically, like giving testimony, the attack, the overhead conversation, the $850K, the nursing home plans, Fletcher's exact words about other options. 15 minutes later, she made me promise. "Don't do anything else tonight. Rest. We plan tomorrow." "Agreed. I mean it, Teddy. No confrontations." "I understand." We hung up. It was approaching 8:30 p.m. I sat in my garage, hand pressed to my bandaged head. The promise felt easy to keep. I was exhausted, done. Then I heard footsteps, heavy, deliberate, coming from the house. I'd promised Allegra no more confrontations tonight. Fletcher had different plans. I stood, faced the doorway. Phone in hand already, camera app open, recording video. Habit now, document everything. Fletcher appeared in the doorway, backlit from the house lights, but his body language was different this time, looser, more aggressive, less controlled. The smell hit me before he spoke. Beer, Miller Lite and bad decisions. The beer was giving him courage, terrible plan. Beer never gave anyone good ideas, especially not at 8:30 p.m. on a Tuesday in a garage where every surface could become evidence. "Who are you talking to?" His words had edges, slightly slurred. "My daughter." "Which one?" "Allegra, in Amsterdam." He stepped into the garage. "What did you tell her?" "That I'm fine." "Liar." He moved closer. "I heard your tone. You're planning something." I kept the phone steady, recording. "I'm not planning anything, Fletcher. I'm standing in my garage." "You think you're smart." Another step. He swayed slightly, definitely drunk. "Calling lawyers probably, making accusations." "I haven't called any lawyers. Yet." He pointed at me. "But you will, I can see it. That look. Like you think you can fight back." "Fight back against what?" "Don't play stupid." His voice rose. "You know what we want, what Vi and I need. This house is wasted on you." I said nothing, let him talk, let him reveal himself, all on video. "You can't even—" He moved forward, hands outstretched like he was going to grab my shirt. I stepped left, not back, lateral, self-defense training from the medical examiner's office. Never retreat backward, move to an angle, create distance. Fletcher's momentum carried him forward into empty space. His hands grasped at nothing. He reached for the workbench to catch himself. Missed. Grabbed the edge of the tool shelf instead. The shelf I'd been meaning to fix for 3 years. It tipped. Everything on it, wrenches, hammers, containers of screws, spray cans, clamps, avalanched forward in a magnificent crash of metal on concrete. Fletcher tried to jump back, but his feet tangled. He went down hard, shoulder first into the garage floor. The scream was immediate, not just pain, dislocation. I recognized the sound. 30 years of autopsies taught you what different injuries sounded like. Tools clattered around him. The shelf finally settled against the wall with a final metallic groan. I stood untouched, phone still up, still recording. "Subject attempted to grab me," I said aloud into the recording. Professional habit. I moved, subject fell, anterior shoulder dislocation, observable deformity. Fletcher on the ground, groaning, his left arm at the wrong angle. He tried to push himself up with it, screamed again, collapsed. The shelf I'd been meaning to fix for 3 years finally got around to causing problems. Just not for me. For once, procrastination paid off. I made a mental note to send a thank you card to Home Depot for their substandard mounting brackets. Running footsteps from the house. Fast. Panicked. Viola burst into the garage, stopped at the threshold. Her eyes went from Fletcher on the ground to the scattered tools, to me standing calm with my phone held up. Her face cycled through expressions faster than a slideshow. Shock, horror, confusion, fear, then something else. Understanding. She looked at the phone in my hand. Realization hit. What happened? Her voice was small, scared. Your husband attacked me for the third time tonight. I kept my tone flat. Professional. It's on video, Fletcher. All of it. He tried to respond from the ground. You came into my garage, drunk, attempted to grab me. I moved. You fell. I looked directly at the camera, then at them. Self-defense, clearly documented. You recorded this? Viola's voice cracked. I recorded him attacking me. Yes. Fletcher tried to sit up. Couldn't. His shoulder wouldn't cooperate. He screamed again. Dad, we need to call. Ambulance. Yes, I will. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911. Why are you... Into the phone. I need an ambulance. Home invasion assault. Injured attacker. Home invasion? Fletcher's face went red through the pain. I covered the phone. You came into my garage, drunk, attacked me. Third time tonight. That's what happened, Fletcher. I went back to the 911 operator, gave my address, hung up. Viola's face showed she understood. I was framing this differently, legally, strategically. Fletcher screamed like he'd been shot. He'd dislocated his shoulder. I'd seen worse injuries from people tripping over their cats. But Fletcher was always dramatic. He probably complained about paper cuts. Watch carefully, Vi. I looked at her directly, cold. This is just the beginning of what I've done. She caught it, the past tense. What you've done? What does that mean? I didn't answer, just held her gaze. In the distance, sirens started, growing louder, 7 minutes. That's how long it took for the sirens to become flashing lights in my driveway. Ambulance first, then a patrol car, Portland Police Bureau. 2 paramedics climbed out. 1 officer followed. The officer was Finn Garrett, just like I'd said. Fletcher and Viola exchanged panicked looks. I remained calm, put the phone in my pocket, still recording audio. The paramedics went straight to Fletcher. Finn approached me first. Old recognition passed between us. Thaddeus, been a while. Evening, Finn, thanks for coming. Professional tone. This was official business between professionals, not personal. He assessed the scene. Dispatch said assault. You hurt? I gestured to my bandaged head. Earlier. This is from the first attack. First? His eyebrows went up. How many times? 3, tonight. All documented. The paramedics were working on Fletcher. One of them looked up. We need to relocate this shoulder. It's going to hurt. Fletcher's face suggested he was already intimately familiar with pain. The paramedics were professional and sympathetic, which Fletcher absolutely didn't deserve. They explained that shoulder relocations hurt a lot. Fletcher's face suggested he agreed with this assessment. I watched from across the garage, arms crossed. Felt like watching karma work with excellent medical credentials. Finn pulled me aside, away from Viola's earshot. Walk me through the evening, start to finish. Approximately 7 p.m., I was in my garage repairing my daughter's vehicle. My voice was steady. Expert witness mode. 7:30 p.m., Fletcher Blackwood entered and struck me with a wrench, caused this laceration. I touched my bandaged head. I photographed the injury and scene. Finn took notes. First attack. Second attack, approximately 8:10 p.m. Fletcher returned, grabbed for me. I defended verbally with legal threats. He backed down. I paused. Third attack, 8:35 p.m. He entered intoxicated, attempted to grab me physically. I moved laterally. He fell into the tool shelf. You have this on video? I showed him my phone. Last incident, yes. First 2, I have photographs and timestamps. Finn watched the video carefully. His expression stayed professional, but I saw the recognition. Clear as day. He comes at you. I step aside. He grabs the shelf. Unstable mounting. Been meaning to fix it. Goes down hard. Finn looked up. You never touch him. Correct. Self-defense is creating distance, not engaging. You took self-defense training? Medical examiner's office required it. Agitated family members sometimes got physical during death notifications. Finn's expression showed respect. Smart. This video is textbook defensive action. He paused. You want to press charges? I considered. Not immediately. I want documentation first. official reports, medical records from the hospital. That's unusual. Most people want charges filed right away. I'm not most people, and I want to do this right. Finn studied me. Your call. But everything's getting documented anyway. Statement, photos, video log, medical report. He pulled out his camera, started photographing. My head wound, blood on the garage floor, the fallen tools, Fletcher's obvious injury, the shelf mounting. Thorough documentation. Finn took pictures like he was documenting a crime scene, which, technically, he was. Except, usually in crime scenes I consulted on, the perpetrator didn't injure himself while attacking someone. Fletcher had managed to be both the aggressor and the victim of his own aggression. That took talent. Stupid criminal talent. You planning something? Finn asked quietly. Planning to protect myself. Legally. He nodded. Understood. Finn walked to Viola by the ambulance. Ms. Blackwood, your father mentioned a first attack around 7:30. Were you present? She looked trapped. I was in the house. Did you see or hear anything? Things happened fast. That's not an answer. Did you witness your husband strike your father? Long pause. Her face went pale. If she lied, that was a crime. If she told the truth, she confirmed Fletcher's violence. I don't want to... It's complicated, Finn wrote in his pad. I'll put down decline to answer. That okay? She realized she'd trapped herself. Yes, that's fine. Fletcher, from the stretcher where paramedics were working, heard everything. His face showed betrayal. She wasn't backing his story. You didn't tell him it was an accident? Fletcher's voice was strained with pain. Viola turned to him. I didn't tell him anything. Why not? You were there. Because I don't know what to say, Fletch. Tell them the truth. He provoked me. He was fixing my car. Her voice rose. You went after him 3 times. Whose side are you on? Silence, first visible crack between them. The paramedic interrupted. Ma'am, we're transporting to Providence, Portland. You riding with or following? Following. She didn't look at Fletcher. They were wheeling him toward the ambulance. Fletcher initially refused hospital transport. Tough guy act. Then the paramedic mentioned permanent nerve damage and loss of arm function. Suddenly, Fletcher discovered enthusiasm for medical care. Fear is an excellent motivator. I'd learned that in 30 years of autopsy. Dead people never feared anything again. Live people with injuries? Very motivated. After they loaded Fletcher, Finn pulled me aside again. Lower voice. Off the record, Thaddeus. 15 years I've known you. Never pegged you as someone who'd be in this situation. Neither did I. Why are they living here? They needed help. 2 years ago. Family. I said yes. Sad recognition crossed his face. No good deed, huh? Apparently not. He handed me his card. My direct number. Anything else happens, call me first. Don't wait. Thank you, Finn. The ambulance pulled away, lights flashing. Viola got in her car to follow. Before leaving, she approached me. Dad, I don't know what to... Don't. I just want to explain. There's nothing to explain. I heard your conversation, the $850K, the nursing home, the realtor on Thursday. Her face went white. You heard? Go to the hospital. Make sure Fletcher's shoulder gets treated. I turned away. Then you both need to find somewhere else to stay. This is our home. No. I looked back. It's my home, your guests, and your invitation just expired. She left without another word. Finn finished his report and drove away around 9:30. I was alone in my garage, blood stain on the floor, tools scattered, crime scene without the tape. My phone rang. Allegra, she couldn't wait. Tell me they arrested him. No, I didn't press charges. What? Why not? Because I'm building a case. One police report isn't enough for what I'm planning. For what? For making sure they never touch this house. Or me. Ever again. Pause, then. You're thinking bigger. Much bigger. I need you to look into something. Elder law, conservatorship attempts, and find out what debt Fletcher has. I'm calling my company's lawyer today. It's 6 a.m. here. You should sleep. Sleep? Her voice was fierce. My sister tried to steal your house, and her husband assaulted you 3 times. I'll sleep when they're destroyed. We talked for 30 minutes, strategic questions. At the end, I said, Allie, I studied how people kill each other for 30 years. Let's see if I can kill someone's plans without breaking any laws. After we hung up, I sat in silence. Around 10:30, my phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Mr. Garrison, this is Valerie Crane. Allegra reached out to me regarding your situation. I'm an attorney specializing in elder law and estate protection. I have openings tomorrow at 2 p.m. or Thursday at 10 a.m. Based on what Allegra told me, we need to talk urgently. Please confirm a time. I type back, Thursday 10th a.m. Thank you. Thursday. The same day Fletcher mentioned the realtor appointment. They were planning to value my house. I was planning to protect it legally. I stood, walked to the workbench, picked up the wrench that started everything, the one Fletcher hit me with in the first attack, set it carefully in a plastic bag, labeled it with a marker, Exhibit A. Fletcher and Viola had a plan, meet with their realtor Thursday, value the house, start proceedings to take it. I had a different plan for Thursday. They'd meet with their realtor. I'd meet with my lawyer. I turned off the garage light. Let the best documentation win. Valerie studied me for a long moment. I can help you destroy them, but it won't be quick and it won't be cheap, and there's no going back from this. I didn't hesitate. I'm already all in. 7 days. That's how long it took for the restraining order paperwork to be filed, for Valerie to review my evidence, for me to realize Fletcher and Viola's silence wasn't surrender. It was planning. Thursday, 10 a.m. Valerie's office downtown. Conference table covered with my documentation, photos, video files on her laptop, police report, medical records, the timeline I'd typed up. She reviewed everything methodically. 3 documented assaults, video evidence. Officer Garrett's report notes Fletcher's aggression clearly. She looked up. Medical records showing dislocated shoulder from his own attack. Thaddeus, this is textbook domestic violence. I want them out of my house, permanently. She explained the eviction process. 90 days for family members in Oregon. Could be contested, but with violence documented, likely to succeed. Restraining order would prohibit Fletcher from coming within 100 yards. What about costs? I asked. To fight this properly, they'd need minimum $15,000 in legal fees, more if it drags out. She paused. Can they afford that? Through old contacts, I learned Fletcher has $85,000 in debt. Failed startup, credit cards. Viola has $12,000 in medical bills. I slid the documentation across. They're drowning. Valerie's expression shifted. Understanding. They're vulnerable. Extremely. Wednesday, I'd been tending my beehives, full suit, veil, checking frames. The bees were more honest than my daughter. At least they told you before they stung you. Voices from the front of the house reached me. I peered around the corner. Fletcher and Viola talking with that same realtor on the sidewalk, discussing my property in public, where neighbors could see. I pulled out my phone, zoomed the camera, took photos. Evidence. Tuesday, Amos had called. Neighbor, retired real estate attorney, 72, and sharp as ever. Teddy, saw something odd. Your son-in-law was at the county recorder's office, asking about title registration for your address. My stomach dropped. You're sure? I was there filing documents, recognized him. The clerk looked uncomfortable. They don't usually give that information to non-owners. I thanked him, mind racing. Thursday morning, before the lawyer meeting, taking trash bins to curb. Fletcher and Viola used a separate bag now, maintaining distance. Through the clear section, I saw legal letterhead. I stopped, looked at the house. No one watching, pulled it out. Crumpled papers. Initial consultation, conservatorship options at the top. I skimmed. Client wishes to explore conservatorship for elderly father, concerns about competency, recent violent outbursts, may require professional evaluation. I sat down on the curb, read every word. My hands started shaking. Not fear, pure rage. They were going to declare me incompetent, have me evaluated like I couldn't manage my own life, take everything for my protection. Most people's garbage contains pizza boxes and Amazon packaging. Mine contained evidence of conspiracy to commit elder abuse. Fletcher should have invested in a shredder. Then again, Fletcher should have invested in a lot of things, like therapy and better decision-making skills. And maybe a basic understanding that throwing away legal documents about fraud is what prosecutors call poor operational security. I photographed every page, put the papers back in the trash, leave no evidence I'd found them, called Valerie. We need to talk. Before our meeting, I found something. Now in her office, she studied the photos. Her expression darkened. This is aggressive, and honestly, pretty difficult to prove. You're clearly competent. She studied the papers. But the attempt itself shows intent, shows motive, shows they're not just violent, they're calculating. Can we use this? Absolutely. Shows everything. The violence wasn't random, it was strategic. Make you seem unstable, so conservatorship looks reasonable. Was I making this worse? They were desperate, drowning in debt. Maybe if I'd just talked to them, offered help. Viola was my daughter. I raised her. I looked at the papers again. Read incompetent elderly father one more time. No, they chose this. Planned to take my mind, my house, my dignity. Not because I needed help, because they wanted money. Family doesn't do that. Predators do. Valerie. My voice came out harder than I'd intended. Change of plans. Change how? I don't want to just evict them. I don't want to just get a restraining order. I looked at her directly. I want to destroy them. Legally. Completely. I want their credit ruined. Their reputation shattered. I want them to regret ever walking into my house. Pause. Can you do that? She set down her pen. Yes, but are you sure? They were going to call me incompetent. My hands, steady all meeting, now shook slightly. After 30 years as a forensic medical examiner, after a career where my testimony sent people to prison, they were going to take that away. Valerie nodded slowly. Then we file everything. Restraining order, eviction. I report the conservatorship attempt to Adult Protective Services ourselves. Establishes you as competent victim, not them. We get ahead of any story they try to spin. When do we start? Paperwork this afternoon. Restraining order hearing next week. Eviction notice served within 48 hours. I stood, gathered my documents. At the door, I turned back. One question. The conservatorship they were planning, if they'd filed before I found out, would it have worked? Valerie was quiet. With a sympathetic judge and without your counter-evidence? Maybe. You're 68. 3 assault reports could be spun as elderly man becoming violent and unstable. They'd bring medical experts, paint you as declining. It's not impossible. So, if I hadn't found those papers, you'd be fighting from behind, defending your competency instead of attacking their abuse. She met my eyes. They almost got ahead of you. I sat back down, set my folder on the table. My hands, which had been steady all meeting, now shook. Not fear, rage, pure, cold rage. Incompetent, I said quietly. They were going to call me incompetent. Yes. Long pause. When I spoke again, my voice was colder than she'd heard yet. I want to destroy them. 3 days. That's how long it took for the papers to be served, for Fletcher and Viola to realize they'd lost the initiative, for everything to accelerate beyond their control. Friday morning. Process server arrived. I answered the door. I'd been expecting him. Documents for Fletcher Blackwood and Viola Garrison Blackwood. 2 envelopes. I signed the receipt. From the upstairs window, Fletcher watched. I took the envelopes inside, set them on the kitchen counter, didn't say a word. Went back to my garage. An hour later, shouting erupted. Fletcher's voice. A restraining order? He's kicking us out? Viola crying, more shouting. A door slammed. My phone rang. Valerie. Papers served? Yes. Restraining order hearing is Wednesday. Eviction clock starts today. 90 days. They'll fight. Let them. We have evidence. Sunday afternoon. Soft knock on the garage door. Viola's voice. Dad, can we talk? First time she'd approached me in 2 weeks. Against my instincts, I opened the door. She stood there, disheveled, red eyes, genuinely broken. Please, can I come in? I let her in. Dad, I'm so sorry for all of it. Tears started. Fletcher pushed so hard, the debts, the pressure. I didn't see you trying to stop him. I was scared of losing everything, of losing Fletcher. She broke down crying. My daughter came to me crying, apologizing for helping her husband plan to steal my house and have me declared legally insane. then asked for $75,000. It was like being mugged by someone who stops mid-robbery to ask if you'll co-sign their car loan. The audacity was almost impressive. "We owe almost $100,000, she said through tears. "Fletcher's startup failed, my medical bills." I softened slightly. "I didn't know it was that bad. I'm your daughter, remember when I was little? You always helped me." I wavered. "That was different. Why? Because I grew up? Because I made mistakes? Because you and Fletcher tried to have me declared incompetent. We wouldn't have gone through with it. Fletcher was just exploring options. Options for stealing my life. No, we just needed—" She seized the opening. "If you could help us, just a loan, for a down payment on our own house, maybe $50,000, we'd pay you back." I went still. "A loan? Yes, please, we need—" "Get out. Dad, you're not here to apologize. You came here to manipulate me into giving you money. That's not fair. You stood there and watched Fletcher hit me with a wrench, and now you want a loan?" I stood. "Get out of my garage." She left, furious and scared. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Viola's lawyer, not Valerie, her lawyer. "Mr. Garrison, I represent your daughter Viola, regarding changes to your testamentary documents. How did you know about my will? Ms. Blackwood has informed me that she's been disinherited. She's entitled to what I decide to give her, which is $1 and my contempt. As your child, she may be entitled to challenge. Let her try. I have 3 assault reports, video evidence, and documentation of conspiracy to steal my house. Good luck with that challenge." I hung up. Monday morning, mail arrived. Official letter from Adult Protective Services. My stomach dropped. "We have received a report of concern regarding your welfare and safety. An anonymous source has indicated you may be a danger to yourself or others and may be experiencing cognitive decline. An investigator will contact you within 48 hours. Getting investigated by Adult Protective Services at 68 is like getting carded at the liquor store. Flattering in a weird way. They think I'm incompetent enough to need protection. I'd spent 30 years determining cause of death for others. Now someone was questioning if I could handle my own life. The irony wasn't lost on me, but my hands shook calling Valerie. They filed with APS. They're claiming I'm incompetent. If the investigation goes wrong, breathe." Her voice was calm. "I already filed our own report Thursday. Detailed documentation of their abuse attempt, your competency, police reports showing they were violent. The investigator already has our side." That afternoon, the investigator called. Patricia Morrison. Professional, sympathetic. "Mr. Garrison, I've reviewed the anonymous report and also a detailed filing from your attorney. I need to conduct a home visit. Standard procedure." "I understand. I worked with social services for years. Medical examiner's office coordinated with APS on abuse cases." Interest in her voice. "You were a medical examiner?" 30 years, Multnomah County. I know how these investigations work." "Then you know I have to be thorough." "I'm counting on it. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., I'll have documentation ready. Police reports, medical records, video evidence. That would be very helpful. Most people don't understand the process. I'm not most people." Through the walls that night, I heard them. 2 a.m., Viola sobbing. Fletcher's voice harsh. "Stop crying and think." More sobbing. Something hit a wall, then silence. They were destroying themselves better than I ever could. Tuesday afternoon. Amos knocked. We sat on the front porch. "Something you should know. Betty across the street asked me what's going on. She saw the process server Friday, then saw Fletcher and Viola loading stuff into their car Sunday night." He paused. "She's not the only one asking. People noticed the police cars 2 weeks ago. They noticed the tension." "What are people saying?" "That something's wrong between you and your daughter's family. Some think Fletcher's not treating you right." "Amos, people are going to hear things. Legal proceedings are public record." I looked at him. "I want you to know, I'm not the problem. They tried to take my house. Fletcher assaulted me. I have evidence." He nodded slowly. "Figured it was something like that. You need anything, call me, day or night." Wednesday morning, restraining order, hearing day. I dressed carefully, suit, tie, professional appearance. Patricia Morrison had come, Tuesday, conducted her interview, seemed satisfied with my competency and documentation. The doorbell rang. Allegra stood there. Surprise, I took emergency leave. Flew in last night. You think I'd miss this? She hugged me. First real hug in weeks. Let's go destroy them, Teddy. In the car, she handed me a folder. Fletcher's debt breakdown, Viola's spending, Court Love's financial documentation. How did you? I'm good at my job, and I'm very motivated. We parked outside the courthouse, saw Fletcher and Viola arrive separately, different cars. They weren't even pretending to be united anymore. Fletcher looked terrible. Viola looked terrified. They saw us, Thaddeus and Allegra together. Fletcher said something to Viola. She shook her head. We walked toward the entrance. Valerie met us there. On one side, Thaddeus, Allegra, Valerie, professional, prepared, united. On the other, Fletcher and Viola, disheveled, desperate, fracturing. As we approached, Fletcher made eye contact with me. For a moment, looked like he might say something. Viola grabbed his arm, pulled him away. They went through a different door. Allegra said quietly, "They look defeated already." Valerie, "They should, but don't underestimate desperation." I watched them disappear inside. I don't underestimate anything anymore. We entered the courthouse. The hearing was in courtroom 4. I'd testified there before, 20 years ago. Medical examiner expert witness in a murder trial. Back then I was explaining how someone died. Today I'd be explaining how someone tried to kill my dignity, my autonomy, my life. The difference? Back then I was just a witness. Today I was the victim, and the prosecutor, and the executioner. The restraining order hearing lasted 40 minutes. Fletcher's public defender tried to argue self-defense. The judge reviewed the video evidence. Took her 3 minutes to grant my motion. Restraining order approved. 100 yards minimum distance. Fletcher's objections overruled, but the hearing was just the opening move. Over the next 2 weeks, I played every card I had. Carefully, legally, systematically. Mid-March, 2 weeks later. I sat in my kitchen, documents spread across the table. My phone rang. Valerie. "Everything's in motion," she said. "APS closed their investigation. You're officially declared fully competent. Patricia noted your documentation was the most thorough she's ever seen. Fletcher's debt has been purchased through the intermediary, and the countersuit is filed. Settlement meeting? Tomorrow evening, your house, your terms. Evening. 3 weeks after Fletcher first hit me with that wrench. The dining room where we'd once eaten as a family. Now, a negotiation battlefield. Documents stacked on the table, coffee pot on the counter, evening light through windows, sound of bees humming from the backyard. Fletcher and Viola sat across from me. Their lawyer, young, overwhelmed, clearly outmatched, sat between them. Valerie beside me, professional, prepared, formidable. Fletcher looked terrible, disheveled, defeated. Viola looked worse, exhausted, broken. The house was silent except for Fletcher's labored breathing and Viola's occasional sniff. "Let's begin," Valerie said. Fletcher tried to maintain dignity. "This whole thing is under protest. You can't—" Valerie cut him off. "Mr. Blackwood, you're here because the alternative is criminal prosecution and a civil trial you'll lose. You can't prove—" "I can prove everything," I said quietly. Their lawyer reviewed Valerie's settlement terms. Fletcher objected. "This is extortion." "No," I said. "This is consequences." Fletcher's hands shook. "We'll fight this. We'll go to court and prove you provoked everything." I pulled out a thick folder, opened it. Inside, printed emails between Fletcher and the realtor. February 14th, you wrote, "Once we get conservatorship, selling the house will be simple." Fletcher went pale. "Here's your consultation notes about having me evaluated. January 28th, before any violence." I spread more papers. "And here," I tapped my phone. "Recordings, our conversations. Oregon is one-party consent state." I played 30 seconds. Fletcher's voice clear. "Your father won't know what hit him. By the time he realizes, we'll have legal control." Viola covered her face. Fletcher's lawyer stared at his clients. "Why didn't you tell me about any of this?" Silence. Valerie spoke. "There's one more thing. Your debt, Mr. Blackwood. The $85,000 with Cascade Collections. What about it?" "That debt was purchased 2 weeks ago." She paused. "By my client." Fletcher's face went blank. "What?" "I own your debt now, Fletcher," I said. "All $85,000. Bought it for $40,000. I'm your creditor. Their lawyer looked sick. That's legal? Completely legal, Valerie confirmed. Fletcher slumped. Fight drained from his body. Viola cried silently. Their lawyer asked for private consultation. 5 minutes later, they returned. We'll sign, the lawyer said. Fletcher wouldn't look at me. Viola's tears fell on the settlement papers. Complete defeat. Before they signed, I spoke. Viola, Fletcher, look at me. They looked up reluctantly. I documented crimes. I defended myself. I used the law. You tried to steal the life of someone who trusted you, sheltered you, helped you. Pause. I'm not sorry for protecting myself. I'm not sorry for having evidence. I'm not sorry for using every legal tool I had. Pause. My voice dropped. But I am sorry that you made this necessary. I'm sorry you chose money over family. I'm sorry my daughter learned to lie to her father. Final line. Sign the papers, leave my house, and understand, you didn't lose because I'm cruel. You lost because I'm thorough. Fletcher signed first, quickly, defeated. Viola signed slowly, hand shaking. I signed last. Done. Their lawyer left fast. Fletcher and Viola stood, didn't speak, headed for the door. Viola stopped, turned. Dad? No, not now. Maybe never. Leave. She went. 1 week later. Moving day. I watched from the living room window as they loaded boxes into a rented truck. Didn't help. Didn't speak. Just observed. They finished loading. Fletcher climbed into the driver's seat. Viola walked toward the house, coming to say something. I tensed. She stopped at the bottom of the porch steps, looked up at the window where I stood visible, opened her mouth, closed it, turned away, got in the truck. The truck pulled away. I watched until it turned the corner. Gone, house silent, empty, mine again. Completely mine. I walked through the house, upstairs to their old room, empty now, window open, sound of bees drifting in from the backyard. I closed the window, locked it. The house was mine again, truly mine. No one to fear, no one to fight, no one to document. I'd won. I stood in the empty bedroom and listened to the silence. Victory sounded a lot like loneliness. My phone buzzed downstairs. I went down. Text from unknown number. I almost deleted it, then saw the first words. Dad, it's Viola. Dad, it's Viola. Please don't delete this. I just need you to know I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know I destroyed everything, but I need to say it. Fletcher and I are separating. I filed for divorce. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. I was wrong. I chose wrong, and I'll regret it forever. I love you, even if you never want to hear from me again. V. I read it twice, sat on the couch, didn't respond. Put the phone face down. A week? They'd been gone a week, and now this. 1 month passed. Spring arrived in Portland. The house was quiet, empty, mine. I established routines, morning coffee on the porch, garage projects, beehive maintenance, weekly dinners with Amos, video calls with Allegra twice a week. The house felt different, quieter, emptier, but also freer. No tension, no fear, my space. 5 weeks after they moved out, mid-April, afternoon. I was working with the beehives, full suit and veil. Heard a car door, turned. Viola's car, no Fletcher. She walked toward the backyard, stopped at the gate, hesitant. Dad, can I talk to you? I didn't remove the veil. Fletcher? Not with me. I filed for divorce. Papers went through last week. What do you want? Just to talk. 5 minutes. Please. I considered. Could say no. Send her away. But curiosity won. Or maybe old parental instinct. I gestured to the porch chairs. We sat. I kept the beekeeping suit on, barrier between us. I don't know where to start, she said. Her hands shook. The beginning usually works. I was scared. We had so much debt. Fletcher was desperate. And I let that fear make me into someone I don't recognize. You let him hit me. I know. You planned to take my house, have me declared incompetent. I know. You stood there while he attacked me 3 times, and you did nothing. She started crying. I know what I did. I know I can't fix it. Pause. She composed herself. I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to say I'm sorry. I betrayed you. I betrayed everything you taught me, and I'll carry that forever. Silence, long silence. Why now? Why come here? Because Fletcher's gone, the pressure's gone, and I can finally see clearly how far I fell. I needed you to hear it from me, not a text, not a letter, me, looking at you, saying I'm sorry. Are you asking for forgiveness? No, I don't deserve it. I'm just offering an apology. What you do with it is up to you. I was quiet for a long time. I hear you. I believe you're sorry, but I can't forget, and I can't trust you. Not now, maybe not ever. She nodded, accepting. You can call me, on holidays, birthdays. If there's an emergency, I'll answer. Maybe. Pause. You can't come here, not for a while. This house is mine, my space. I need it to stay mine. Pause. If you rebuild your life, actually rebuild it, not just survive, we can talk. In a year, maybe 2, but there are no promises. That's more than I deserve, thank you. She stood, paused. Dad, I know this doesn't fix anything, but I'm proud of you. For standing up, for protecting yourself. I wish I'd been that strong. She walked to her car, drove away. I sat on the porch in my beekeeping suit, watching her go. Didn't cry, didn't feel relief, just tired. 2 days later, Allegra arrived from Amsterdam. 10-day visit. We sat on the porch that evening. I told her about Viola's visit. Do you believe her? Allegra asked. Yes, but belief and trust are different things. We sat in comfortable silence, bees humming from the backyard. Do you regret how you handled it? She asked. I considered. No, I protected myself, used the law, did what I had to do, but I paused. I regret that I had to. I regret that my daughter became someone I couldn't trust. That's on her, not you. I know, doesn't make it hurt less. Will you talk to her, eventually? Maybe, if she proves she's changed, not just sorry, but different. That takes time. How much time? I'll know when I know. Could be a year, could be 10, could be never. 1 week after Allegra left, early May, I was harvesting honey from the hives, physical satisfying work, filled jars, labeled them. Surplus went to neighbors. Amos accepted a jar. This is good honey, Teddy. Been a good spring for it. Bees don't care about human drama. They just work. I like that. 2 months after they moved out, late April, another voicemail from Viola. I saw her name. Didn't answer. Listen later. Dad, it's me. I'm not calling to bother you. Just wanted you to know I got a new job. Small apartment. Fletcher moved to Seattle. I'm okay, or I will be. I hope you're well. I love you. I listened twice. Didn't call back. Not yet. Final evening before Allegra flew back to Amsterdam. We sat on the porch, drinking coffee, watching sunrise. You did the right thing, Teddy. You know that, right? I did the necessary thing. Doesn't always feel right. That's because you're human. Monsters don't question themselves. Silence. Comfortable. The kind you only have with people who really know you. You gonna be okay? Alone here? I've been alone before. I'll be alone again. It's not the worst thing. What is the worst thing? Being surrounded by people you can't trust. That's worse than solitude. She left that afternoon. The house was quiet again. I returned to my routines. Coffee on the porch, work in the garage, bees in the afternoon, reading in the evening, early sleep, peaceful but tinged with sadness, proud but aware of cost, not bitter, not angry anymore, just accepting. I missed Viola, the old Viola, not the person she'd become, but I was comfortable in my solitude, my space, my rules, my terms. That evening, I sat on the porch with a jar of fresh honey, golden, sweet, the work of months, patient work, careful work. The bees hummed in their hives, 20 hives producing well, defending when threatened, gentle otherwise, like me now. Honey takes time to mature, so does forgiveness, maybe in a year, or 10, or never, but it will be my choice, in my house, on my terms. The mountain air felt clean. I breathed it in, all of it. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.